Welcome back to Persephone Says. This episode is on burnout. And before you roll your eyes, I can already feel your eye roll through your ears right now. I'm asking you to just stick with me because the reality is if I had heard all the things that I'm going to share with you today a couple years ago, I don't know if I would have been as receptive, but I'm hoping that whether you're a few years into your business or you're working for someone else, you're just feeling fucking tired, that some of this connects with you. You know, I think when people talk about owning their own business, you know that working for yourself is absolutely freedom. There's a lot of freedom associated with it. However, there's so much more that, frankly, I feel it is glamorized a bit on social media. And I think we need to just pull back the layers on it. Because the reality is you're doing so many jobs, some of which you are qualified for, some of which you are absolutely not qualified for. And then there's, a mashup in between that it's just part of the deal. Again, if you're working for someone else, it doesn't mean obviously you can't have burnout as well. But I want to just frame out exactly what I've been working through and trying to help fix for myself and give you a couple of tips. In no way am I saying that I have found all of the tools for success to push through burnout, but I have found that over the past couple of months, this renewed sense of purpose, very focused, very certain, very laser, have laser attention on a couple of different things. And frankly, I'm having a fucking blast again. And so this is coming as current reflection, and also having experienced all of the bits in between. So here we go. When I started full-time in my business, it was 2019, and I quit an already very stressful job and was also, moonlighting for this job. And so when you're working for yourself, the hours all blend together, meaning when you start and when you stop, it really doesn't matter because no one is paying attention to that. You just have to get your shit done. And I really believe that from 2019 until this year, I was working 12 to 14 hours a day, every single day, including weekends for the most part. And I want to just run through, especially a couple years ago, what all I was handling all at the same time. So just bear with me. I was producing shoots that had me on a set 8 to 10 hours a day. I was doing about 2 to 3 of them a week, which included moodboarding, storyboarding, also capturing content at different events in all different locations across the country. I was writing and sharing posts. At the time, I was also managing a bunch of clients. I was the only salesperson. So I was nurturing relationships, writing proposals, designing proposals, selling it, hiring people, firing people. So running all of the day-to-day business operations. And I'm not talking about there was 5 people on my team. There were 20 to 30 at this point. I was doing photo shoots for myself. I was training other people, managing my direct reports, managing my own social team, spot checking content and QAing content for our clients, internal meetings, external meetings, in-person meetings, traveling almost every single week. I got to the point where I couldn't even celebrate the big wins because I was so fucking tired, but also happy. And I say happy ? But when was it going to be a little bit less? 2023 happened and I found myself absolutely exhausted. I'm learning a lot about adrenal fatigue right now, so I'm not going to say that I'm an expert. I'll share information with you as I'm kind of running through it. But it wasn't just mental exhaustion. It was emotional. It was physical. I look at photos and videos of myself and I don't recognize that person also because of really bad eyelash extensions and too much Botox and filler, but that's neither here nor there. It just was too much. And I found that, and this is something that no one wants to say out loud, but it's part of the whole, like the ebbs and flows of business. I found myself inadvertently falling out of love with why I started this business to begin with, because I was waking up every day knowing that I was going to have to put out a huge fire or get upset, or my cortisol was just so high. I was always in a state of fight or flight. And that is so exhausting and honestly not fun. I'm not saying that your job, regardless of whether you're working for yourself or not, needs to be fun 24/7, but I really believe in an 80-20 rule. And certainly in 2024 last year, like there was no 80-20 rule. I was like, if I had a couple good days in there, I was a fucking winner. But it really started to just decline so aggressively because I lost control. I lost control of my time. I lost control of my team inadvertently. Well, I'm thinking that I'm being effective because I'm everything to everybody. I'm nothing to everybody at the same time. But most importantly, there's nothing left for myself. And I'm not saying that this means to, especially as you're building, you want to say yes to everything. And I spoke about this many times on previous episodes, but you really, really have to be intentional with how your time is best served and what is going to progress you forward. And that does mean sometimes saying yes to things in order to get bigger yeses down the road, but like saying yes to literally everything, dropping everything. Oh, and by the way, I didn't even fucking mention that all of those things, plus trying my best to be a good mom, trying my best to be a good wife and friend, like I can't believe I even spoke or saw anybody in the past couple of years, if I'm being completely honest. So, or that I've been even able to be present with my kids. So I've really had a reframe as to, okay, there are seasons of extreme busyness. Right now is that for us. I'm okay with being a little bit more wound up, doing more longer days. There are seasons of that. You cannot function like that at a sustained level without impacting your health, your wellness, your relationships. Like something is going to break, if not multiple somethings. It is normal from what I've read, because of course I want to come with a couple good nuggets. It is normal as an entrepreneur in particular to start to feel detached from the business that you're building. And I did feel that. I remember being on calls with my team, just being like, I just really want to fucking nap. I'm so tired. Like, I can't even process. Like, there was no more space in my brain for additional inputs. And now I've found that also at the time I was operating from a place of like, I needed everyone's opinion. And now I feel more confident in my own convictions, where I'm very certain when I make a decision that if I have, discussed it with my very small group, my executive team, and then my best friends, who, I lean on, if that's appropriate. Like, you need a sounding board, but you don't need everyone's opinion or agreement, especially when you're making really difficult decisions, because a lot of people just cannot relate, even when you're just starting out. When it came to my kids, I felt like I was also like going through the motions, but also not mentally present, because I was thinking about the 10 additional things that I needed to do. Again, I'm not saying that burnout isn't going to happen in seasons of your life. It just can't be all 4 seasons for multiple years at a time. It's just too fucking much. So I think that it's important for you to remember this. It's not that you can't handle all of the things. It's that when you're handling everything, you're not actually building a forever foundation. And because it's not scalable, even if you're not trying to be a big business, even if you are working for someone else, if you are wearing too many hats, and there's someone on my team who is incredibly talented at so many things, and she wants to do all the things because she's good at so many things. But there are points where we'll have these conversations where I'm like, I know you have passions in this, this, and this. We need to strip it back a little bit because you're losing what makes you happy. You're losing your focus and what I want you to focus on. And so I think being very clear with yourself and what you want to, like micro goals that you can create for yourself, that's really how we can actually push forward. So, how do you identify this? So, it's a silent buildup for sure. So, it is going to creep up on you. It is not just one day where you're like, I'm so exhausted, right? Or multiple, I'm so exhausted days. I found that no matter how much matcha I was drinking, no matter how many energy gummies I was taking, like I couldn't think straight. I'm like, maybe I need to take like mushroom coffee and this, that, like, no. And I thought that just because I was working out every day, that was like my time for myself. But what was also happening is I was bringing my phone into my workout classes. And when I would get a text message, I was stopping, leaving the class, answering the client, calling the client. So I'm like, how did I get here? How did I get to this point where there's complete erosion of my time and space? And why do I feel like I have to respond so instantaneously that I can't even take an hour or a couple hours to just do the things that I need to do and also address that thing? So I think most importantly, you have gotten to this place, you're feeling stuck. You might even be feeling trapped at times, especially if you own your own business, because it's like, I started this because I wanted to do this one thing and I don't like managing people, or I'm not good at client services, or you're finding like deficits in yourself. That's like a real thing, is when you're starting a business, because you want to wear and have to wear so many hats, you end up finding so many holes within your own self that you have to admit, like, oh shit, I really suck at organization. Me. I really suck at like system building. Also me. I really suck at, managing my time, or whatever it might look like for you, or marketing, or whatever. It is important to listen to those holes within yourself and identify it. And even if you can't financially handle outsourcing all of them, what can you focus on that's going to make the biggest difference in saving you time, energy, efficiencies? Like, this is where we have to audit our energy. So step one into fixing this is like, what is draining me? What is fueling me? I know that is so much easier said than done. I also know that there are days where you just have to be the cleaner upper of the shit. Like, that is a technical phrase, by the way. It's just true. Sometimes there's a shitstorm that you just actually have to be the one who is sweeping it up, making sure that your client is happy, making sure that your internal team is happy, fixing a problem, like finding a solution. That's your job. And I hate days like that. I really do. Like, I really hate it, but I also have found that I am not allowing myself to sit in the frustration of having to do that, because it's just part of the role. Like, it's just what I have to do. Oftentimes it means being bad cop to somebody, to my employees, to a client, to my husband. It happens all the time. So that's just part of it, and it's acceptance of that, but not letting it like stick, I think has been really helpful. I can't tell you right now how I've allowed that to happen, as in like how I've become Teflon, but as I'm analyzing that for myself, I will share. I also think it's really important to understand what's fueling you. Do you have to be on every single call? Do you have to be present at every single moment? Where can you zip in and zip out? How, if you have a team, even if you have one person or a VA or some, another colleague, how can you distribute some of your responsibilities so that you can really clue into the things that you're actually the best at? And for me, I know that that's vision. I know that that's strategy. I know that's creative. It's talking to clients, it's kissing the babies, and then bumping the ball to someone else to execute whatever is in my crazy head at the time. I also think that I decided to really be very clear with myself as to what was going to be a hell yes versus a hell no. And that also included travel because, as I mentioned earlier, I was traveling with such an aggressive frequency that it took me about a day or two to just recover from that travel because I was burning it at all ends. Because if I'm going to be away from my kids, I'm going to make sure that I'm like doing the most, seeing the most people, doing the most work in silence, like maximizing every single minute, except that's really, really, really unhealthy and just makes you freaking sick. But also, when do I actually need to be the person in the face to see clients or go to an event? And where can I send somebody else where it doesn't have to be me? My one of my little boys, when he was 5 years old, asked me to stop traveling as much. And that was only a couple years ago. And I promised him this was exactly the same time because I was like missing so much key like mundane. I was missing the mundane moments that make for the best memories for me, that make for those, bedtime conversations and snuggles and micro moments. Like that's what's so important to me. I know that at times I have to miss that, and I've accepted that. I also explain what I'm doing a lot to my boys. But when Laurent asked me to travel less, I made a promise to him, to myself, and to Roman, my other son, that I was going to be way more deliberate on if I'm traveling, I'm going to zip in and zip out. There's not going to be too much extra time, and really decide, does it have to be me or can it be a colleague? Can it be Rich or anybody else on my team or Eddie? So that's been helpful. I also am, again, as it pertains to just like fixing this, right? Really refining what success looks like to you. So, yes, revenue targets are success, but this year I had a really aggressive revenue goal, and then I shifted it to a profitability goal in Q1. So last year, we're doing all of these different exercises and planning and laying down the groundwork for an aggressive, current year. And then it became so apparent to me, actually, no, shit, I have to fix so many things, refine so many things, and really just focus on profitability. And so as a result of that, I feel like it was really healthy, actually. It made me feel more in control than ever of the outcome of my business. I didn't feel like I needed to guess anymore on like what was and wasn't worth my time because I was so clear on numbers and hours and like that has changed. I also used to say, and you've probably heard me say this, that I really cared about just having so many clients. And now I care about having such deep relationships with our clients. And that is the focal point. And it wasn't that at the time as well. It's not that it wasn't the most important thing in the past. It was just as I was building so fast, how can I have deeper relationships with clients when I'm like on the phone constantly and on the run constantly and can't even answer an email in an appropriate period of time? It's just something has to give. Okay. I am now taking a few extra moments on the weekend. If I'm working on the weekend, it's often on a Sunday for a couple of hours to just make sure that I'm setting myself up for success for the week, or getting caught up on things, or just kind of tackling a couple of big things or chipping away at it. I took this year to have a few moments of complete off mode. And Eddie and I talked about us going to Portugal and not working for 3 weeks. Like, actually minimally available, minimal amounts of anything came out of us. Oh my God, that was so good for my health. And I know that that's not possible at every stage of growth, but I do think even if it is having one day a month where you can just really pour back into yourself and not do all the things and be as off as you can be. And I'm not talking about like going to the spa for an hour. I'm not talking about that. It needs to be more so that you can actually come back clearer, stronger, more effective. It's so important. Eddie and I always go to Tulum each year. We did it again this year and really shut off for, a quick weekend as well. Like really unavailable to talk to people. So healthy. I know, so much easier said than done though. And the key is to make sure that you're not trying to escape from your problems or from your job or from whatever is going to pile up in your inbox, but just to reframe and have a chance to hear your own thoughts on what's the most important, what you want, find more creativity, be silent, be still, rot on your couch. I don't care. I don't care what it is. It's just to not have to be beholden to anybody except for yourself. Okay. Now, lastly, I think it's important to also remind yourself, especially as entrepreneurs, because we are so guilty of this, that we are not just our job. And though I really pride myself so much in my company's output, it means everything to me. I'm so blown away by the team. And if you're not watching, I can't help but smile so big because I love my team so passionately. I love our clients. Everything just feels right for the first time ever. And that's now 6.5 full years in. But I'm also other things. I'm also a really good friend, and I also have dimension, and I'm a good wife, and I'm a good mom. And those things are important to me too. It's different levers on different days or it changes hour by hour. But I think reminding myself that hey, I have other things that I love, most importantly, other people that I love, and I can't just be just slaving away at work. I'm not even enjoying the process anymore. And I've always been so passionate about enjoying the journey. And I lost sight of that. And I think it sucks. God, it sucks because you have to keep pretending. It's not like you can then shut off, right? So you're burnt out. You're falling out of love with your company. You are depressed. You have very, very low output. That doesn't mean that you can just stop doing what you're doing. You have to still fucking get out of bed and put on the face and rah, let's go, people. But it was so fraudulent. And I think the only person who really knew that was Eddie. I don't think it was as obvious, hopefully, to the rest of my team until we were through that. And it's wow, everything feels so different. You feel so different. So again, there's light through the burnout. Okay. So how can you rebuild your confidence? And again, I'm not saying jump from burnout to being back at it and the most energetic and the most vivacious and all of those things. It is reprioritizing and actually hitting halt. And we did that at the top of this year where we decided to take very few additional clients, very few additional partners, employees. We looked through, and I've talked a little bit about this, we've looked through every single person, what they were doing, the amount of time that they were spending. Is this client profitable, not profitable, over service, exhaustive efforts. However, it really allowed me to be that thing that was really tiring me out, that actually was also costing me so much money. And so we're not going to do that again. We're not going to do that, period. I'm going to release that. I'm going to allow myself to trust that enough is enough, and also that the right client is going to come now that I have more time to dedicate to the conversations and investment of time in their businesses. So, I'm a big fan of law of attraction. And this was definitely one of those moments where I was just like, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to give you like hard numbers because this is going to make you want to throw up. There's a client that we had that was paying $25,000 a month. It's a fuck ton of money. I have so many employees. Like, we got mouths to feed, bills to pay. Like, when I tell you that when we did the hours, when we backed into this client's, how many hours we were spending with this client, I was paying for all of their marketing. It was actually $50,000 worth of time being spent that I did not bill the client that I ate. So as a result, I had to hire more people. I talked a little bit about this in the people pleasing episode recently, but it created this horrible, horrible tsunami within my company of overspending, of inefficiencies, of all of this bullshit. I'm not saying to not take $25,000 a month from a client, but I am saying, like, is this actually aligned with who we are, the clients we want, the audience we want to serve? Are we the right partner? Are we the right fit? It's hard to say no, but gosh, I would have handled it so differently so that I didn't burn out so much of my team and exhaust myself and some of the most important people in my company as a result of just trying to please these people. And as a result of that, we've really refocused on, like, what services are we offering? Is this the most effective way of providing these services? How can we be better partners? How can we, like, again, how can we go deeper with people versus being so like, you are the client, I am the service provider, I will serve you? That really sucks. Like, it sucks. Okay. So again, I know a lot of us are tired. A lot of us are feeling drained by so many different things that we're doing. But I'm really asking you to make time to really be so clear and intentional with what makes you happy, what's making you the most money, what can you delegate, what doesn't serve you, and taking a moment to reset your body, mind, and soul, because otherwise you're really just drilling yourself into the ground and you're losing your entire purpose of why we started these godforsaken motherfucking businesses to begin with. So with that, I hope that this episode will serve you. I hope that you will save it and share it. And please comment on your favorite parts, or if we should do additional episodes like this. And until next time, see you soon. Cool. Thank you.